Welcome everyone, so we've got Survivalist versus Salted Pepper. This is AoE League's Group A Season 3, and we've got the home map for Survivalist first, who's playing in yellow. It's Arena, and he's playing as the Teutons. On the other side of the map we've got Salted Pepper in purple, playing as the Burgundians. So it's an interesting sort of matchup. What I would say is actually Survivalist has been playing as the Portuguese very commonly in AoE Leagues, but he's mixed it up a little bit with Teutons this time. And we've got the Burgundians, which we do love to see on Arena, forced to get the eco upgrades a bit cheaper and also an age earlier. And of course they have the Flemish Revolution. Of course Burgundians, you don't necessarily play them for the Flemish Revolution, but it's definitely something that can really help the Burgundians in the late game. It'll be interesting to see how this one pans out. Both players obviously above 2k elo, so incredibly strong. Surely definitely lots of things we can learn from this set. We've got relics spawned out pretty kind of in the favour of the Burgundians player actually. He's got this one there and this one there, pretty accessible for Salted Pepper. This one is more or less in the middle, and this is probably going to be Survivalist. But this one kind of favours Salted Pepper as well, so the relics are particularly important with Burgundians, of course, to get both food and gold from the relics. This particular spawn of hideout gives us 3 deer and the sheep, and they've actually both got quite a decent amount of real estate in the background to expand to, so should be pretty safe to get this. They've got safe wood lines, which is perfect. Some arena spawns are a little bit cheap on the sides of wood real estate. Gold wise, there is a bit of a nasty gold there for Survivalists on the front there, but this gold is nice and safe to take. Got forward berries, but would say that for Salted Pepper both golds are forward, so that could become tricky if there was a castle drop in the works. And we do see Salted Pepper pushing in some deer as well, and Survivalist grabbing his boar. Of course on Arena it can be relatively slow to start off with. Just a bit of background about AoE Leagues. It's kind of like football or soccer league if you're in the States, and you both play on home maps to tally up points at the end of the league. And of course with the top tier leagues, Group A, we do have a best of 3 semi-final and best of 5 final for the prize pool that is slowly emerging for AoE Leagues. Second boar is going to be brought in by Survivalist very soon. And we see Salted Pepper actually getting the berries, but okay, there we go. There's the mill. I was wondering whether he wasn't going to put that down for a little while. 4 villagers on wood for Salted Pepper, using the cow to scout his base at the back there. Minimal idle time for both players, which is to be expected at this caliber of player. Welcome, welcome, LC Driver. I hope you're doing well. So it's going to be a good set, I reckon. Between Survivalist and Salted Pepper. We've got the Burgundians versus Teutons. I'll be interested to see what Survivalist heads off and does with this Civ, because of course we're very used to him playing Portuguese on Arena. So it looks like it's going to be mixing up a little bit. We see Survivalist making sure that that gold is going to be well protected and is kind of walling behind in case there's a castle drop or early pressure. And the scouts will actually meet here. I wonder whether they'll take a bit of a fight. Nope, Survivalist heads on back home. What I would say is that Salted Pepper actually already has the double bit axe and horse collar. Of course, Burgundian's getting the techs 1 age earlier and cheaper. Means that his economy will be kind of a bit more booming at the moment with the eco upgrades already there. And the second ball comes in for Salted Pepper. The Teutons, of course, do get cheaper farms, so they are with their own eco bonuses. But with the Burgundians, with the eco bonuses an age earlier, it does put a bit of pressure perhaps on Survivalists to put some early aggression to avoid this booming economy from salted pepper. Survivalist making sure it gets all his deer in. Of course, it's a standard thing now on Arena. With the deer being spawned inside, you kind of have to take them. Looks like both players are going to go for a 25 population click up. Well, actually, salted pepper's going for 26. An extra villager there for him. So it looks like I think it looks like Survivalist actually got loom. He must have got housed for a couple of seconds, and hence the reason why is one population less than salted pepper, even though they both basically clicked up at the exact same time. We see a barracks going down for salted pepper, so it looks like it's going to contest the relics, and looks like Survivalist is going to do the same. Neither player are on stone just yet, so we'll see how this one develops. AoE Hawk, thanks for the follow, appreciate it. Just casting the set between salted pepper and Survivalist. Guys, of course, I'm sure you guys know they do cast their own point of view gameplay as well, so they're both very, very strong players, certainly worth watching them and their games, especially on the ranked ladder, and they do break them down incredibly well, so it's certainly a place that you can learn how to get better at the game. And there's feudal age for both players coming in. Meanwhile, you know, that whole time salted pepper had double bid axe and horse collar, so it's incredibly strong for that eco, and we're going to see a stable going down for salted pepper and a stable for Survivalist as well. Blacksmith for Survivalist, and he has enough food to click up, just needs a bit more gold, and both players will be up to Castle Age in no time. Looks like, ooh, yeah, it looks like it's really dead even. You can even see on Capture Age. I don't know who's going to win that. It's like a 50-50 toss-up, I guess. But Survivalist gets that one, and he has his scout intact. Survivalist and salted pepper again both clicked up almost at identical times. And I imagine salted pepper may go for Bosaw relatively soon if he can afford it, but she's running a little bit low on food for now. And salted pepper does invest in another scout. He needs to keep eyes on the field and see what's happening, and he's also getting a defensive, well, a spearman, putting it forward just to protect the relics as well. And Survivalist not investing in another scout just yet. Be interested to see what salted pepper goes for this. Of course, the Burgundians do not get bloodlines. They do get Cavalier an age earlier, but the Teutons have extra armor on their knight line, so that's going to be, I think, in a straight up fight. It's going to be quite close, especially in mid-Castle Age, but in the late game, Survivalist knight line, and Paladin certainly will be the much stronger unit. And salted pepper just a couple of seconds behind, nothing really in it. And a monastery going down and Bosaw being researched by salted pepper. Second TC's going down, salted pepper choosing the wood line there on the left, and Survivalist choosing this beautiful location on the wood line and the gold prime location. But this village is just a bit bugged out. That's kind of a bit annoying. A bit of idle time there, unfortunate there for Survivalist. But he notices that, actually corrects it quite quickly, and that villager goes all the way around gold piles. Start building that second TC. Relics wise, there's kind of a bit of a scout fight here. 4 scouts apiece. A tiny bit of HP more for Survivalist, but salted pepper does have that spearman, so a hit from that spearman would be really useful. And there's another spearman coming around the other side, so if that spearman can get in the action, it would be certainly be good engagement for Salted Pepper. And he gets 2 hits with a spearman, and you can just see how massive an effect that has. And now Survivalist is forced back home. It's a bad fight there for Survivalist. Salted Pepper certainly getting better at with the spears. Looks like he's investing a bit more just to get the relics. 3rd TC going down for Survivalist. A little bit of idle TC time for Survivalist as well, meaning that Salted Pepper is the 2 villagers ahead of him. Fine margins at this stage, and the monks start to come out. First one out for Salted Pepper. And looks like Salted Pepper has good vision on the field. He's going to grab a relic or 2, I'm sure. And there's very little that Survivalist can do about that unless he starts getting more units. And he might be able to snipe a monk here, Salted, if he's watching, and he is. I like what he did there. He kind of circled around to block the escape of the monk. Might get a conversion. Nope, the light cav gets away. And Survivalist now committing to some spearmen. He doesn't want the relics just to be taken away. And that relic, which was probably the closest relic to Survivalist, gets nabbed away by Salted Pepper. So it's looking good for Salted Pepper just at the moment. Try and grab the relics. And ooh, that's a couple of good hits there on that scout from that spearman for Survivalist. And lots of lots of mini fights going on here. And second monk. Well, the monk's going to grab the second relic at least. It's going to try to. 3rd TC now going down for Salted Pepper. He's still ahead on villager count. Survivalist unfortunately having a fair bit of idle TC time in comparison. And yeah, they're going to be able to maybe get a conversion here with that light cav. And that would be very frustrating for Survivalist. Not sure if that I don't know if that just died or whether they deleted it there. And 9 military to 3, Salted Pepper taking the good early engagements. Means that at this stage he can kind of take the relics without too much pressure. He's done the hard work and is getting 2 relics at a time. This is certainly going to be helping him. It doesn't look like Survivalist has got a single relic just yet. He's trying to be contesting it. He's got 3 monks there. He's not been able to take one, and it doesn't look like he's going to get any of them. Both players again going for wheelbarrow at relatively similar times. And both players do have bowsaw now. Survivalist pulling ahead just a little bit on villager count. He got that 3rd TC a little bit earlier than Salted Pepper. But we're talking really fine margins. 2 villagers ahead only. And we do see Survivalist going for villagers on stone now. It'd be interesting if he's kind of slowly gathering stone for a castle. Unlike, I mean, he might go for another TC, but it's probably more likely for a castle when we see Salted Pepper going for the gold mining upgrade. Looks like both players kind of heading towards thinking about Imperial Age. Quite a passive game so far. Other than the contesting for the relics, of course. And Survivalist keeping a scout on this relic, but there's quite a lot of military here for Salted Pepper. Could force the issue and just grab the relic. Should be able to. He's got 2 monks there. I mean, he forces his way, who will get that relic. This is great play here for Salted Pepper to get 4 relics, soon to be 5, I'm sure. Getting a university. Still no full idea of the unit composition for the Burgundians player. I suspect he's probably not going to go for cavalry because of course he's at a massive disadvantage not having bloodlines and the Teuton knights having the extra armor. He does click up. And we see a defensive siege workshop going down for Survivalist. Pretty neck and neck at villagers. Salted Pepper has actually pulled ahead on villagers a little bit at 69 vills. He's doing incredibly well at keeping the idle TCs down. He's just constantly producing villagers, and this monk is... I mean, this relic should be Salted Pepper. He's going to keep... Yeah, that scout just couldn't do too much against that. And Salted Pepper just being a little bit irritating, banging on that gate there. Looks like he's going to be going for monks as well. He already has quite a few monks, so he's upgrading them. And he's getting that 5th relic, so that's certainly going to be important for Salted Pepper. I think Survivalist is on a bit of a timer here, with Salted Pepper having 5 relics. Survivalist does almost have enough stone for a castle. A defensive one, it looks like he's going for. He's certainly going for a booming approach. Yeah, and there's a defensive castle going there. And the monks are going to try and go at each other. And Salted Pepper actually gets a hold of a monk there inside Survivalist space. There's not much he can do about stopping this castle going up though. And we'll see. It looks like Salted Pepper is on stone as well, so he's going to want to get his own castle for Trebs. It looks like Salted Pepper is actually committing to stable units. He's getting the armor upgrade. And it looks like Survivalist is committing to pikemen with the armor upgrade coming in. I wonder whether Salted Pepper will be able to convert a villager here. No, unfortunately that monk gets poked to death. Yep, 2nd armor upgrade. Where's that 3rd? Yeah, it's the 2nd armor upgrade for cavalry coming for Salted Pepper. Chemistry as well. So it looks like he's perhaps going for archer. Yeah, he's going for archery rangers as well. But with Burgundians, not so simple. He's not going to go just full cavalier. I mean, Survivalists can't go camels anyway, but he's got the better knight line anyway. So it looks like it might be cavalier crossbow versus cavalier pikeman. Something along those lines. Oh, Survivalist actually going to go for Onager, it looks like. He's getting a heavy plough and he's just got conscription from the castle as well. So Onager is on the way. Valentina, thank you so much for the subscription. Appreciate it. Hope you're doing well. Just casting some Group A games, and there we are. We see the Cavalier upgrade coming for the Burgundians and block printing as well. So certainly, Salted Pepper going to add in a couple of monks for the cause, and this is a nice castle actually. It's going to protect these 2 forward golds, which of course Salted Pepper will want to rely on. And having 5 relics, really a strong position. Spinning yarn, let you know. Thank you so much for hopping in, appreciate it. The 3rd armor upgrade coming in for Salted Pepper, so looks like it's going to be a mixed composition of military, which you'd expect at this level. Okay. Looks like both players are really booming it out. Survivalist looking to move forward a little bit. A mass of pikemen. And Salted Pepper just trading a couple of light cav to see what's happening. He's going to know now the mass pikemen are there. And actually it looks like it's hand cannoneers. It's not crossbow. It makes sense now, hand cannoneers. From Salted Pepper. One thing to note, of course, is the Teutons don't get husbandry. I suppose it doesn't make as much of a difference perhaps in 1v1s, but on a fight it does mean Salted Pepper has just that little bit of an edge on mobility and BBCs as well from the Burgundian player. But onagers, we might see some nice onager shots from Survivor. It's going to go for a forward castle. This is probably where the meat of the game is going to start. The battles are going to start. And looks like, oh, okay, yeah, I think Survivalist, yeah, he deleted that, so didn't lose the stone, but 4 onagers on the prowl. And there's a bit of an issue for Survivalist because Salt and Pepper might actually be able to snipe these onagers with the BBCs. And looks like that onager's going to go down. There's one. And I'm not sure if the onagers are going to get too close here. Lucius, oh, that's a huge shot by the BBCs on those onagers. Absolutely massive. And onager shot getting a couple of hand cannoneers, not nearly enough. And that's a huge loss there in terms of resources as well for Survivalist. And looks like Salt Pepper's actually going to put a castle down exactly where Survivalist wanted it, his own. And the BBC is going to go move forward, protected by the hand cannoneers, and there we are. Going to start going for the castle. An issue here for Survivalist, it doesn't actually have any cavalry on the field. It means that it's going to be very difficult to snipe these BBCs. But he does get rid of one of them with the trebs. And this mixed... oh, wonder whether it's salted... it looks like Salted Pepper actually lost that castle. That's huge. I think he lost that stone because of the trebs. A bit of a perhaps a misplay there. Fortunately for Salted Pepper, does lose another BBC. There's another onager coming out, and this is where it could swing a little bit. Onager will go down, but so yeah, the onager didn't do too much for Survivalist. But Salted Pepper losing a lot of cavalier to the halbs. Got shredded there. The hand cannoneers doing good work to protect the last remaining BBC. And the halbs can't really get close to this. Salt Pepper slowly looking to push forward, but not having that castle might haunt him a little bit. But he's certainly on the push forward. We might see, this is going to be a bit of a tricky situation for Survivalist. Hello, Chunk. Thanks for the follow. Hope you're doing well. We're just going to see how this one pans out. Looks like Salted Pepper is actually doing incredibly well. This is the home map of Survivalist, with Salted Pepper picking up Golden Swamp next. Oh, that's a miracle how that BBC didn't die from that onager shot. And Survivalist frantically repairing that castle. We'll need to. This is a good push here from the Burgundians. Those 5 relics, we could just see the gold income. 47 villagers for Salted Pepper on gold, plus the 5 relics. I think Survivalist is on a timer here, especially with the number of villagers that Salted Pepper has. This is going to be difficult to stop, and I wonder whether we might see the old Flemish Revolution from Salted Pepper. We want to hit up to 200 population, no doubt, for sure, before he does that. No, it's not in any rush to, but he won't want to waste it as well. It's important you have siege behind a Flemish Revolution. Try and take down and get your way into the arena. But he certainly has lots of military on the field. 45 to 31. And at this point, Survivalists can't do too much. Sanctity coming in for the monks. For Salted Pepper, 3 BBCs, 2 traps, plenty of siege. Survivalist getting his own BBCs now. 3 of them, and snipes the treb and a monk. That's a terrible way to die for the monk. And I like this player to commit to BBCs. We might see a bit of dodgeball with the BBCs now in this game. But is it a matter of time before we see the old Flemish Revolution? Survivalist is doing incredibly well to push this back. He's not letting up. He does delete a bit of the walls for his BBCs to pop out. It's 4 BBCs to 4, so Survivalist matching up in numbers. Or 5 BBCs actually Salted Pepper has. And Survivalist has plenty of stone to drop another castle. It looks like the Burgundians players really expanded out now, getting a TC here on the right side of the Gascold and on this stone, and a castle to protect this little bit of eco here. So map control really heading in the way of Salted Pepper. and I just wonder, Salt Pepper is almost up to 200 population. Will he want to go for Flemish Revolution? Try and really push the matter. Oh, some huge shots there for the BBCs. Survivalist losing a lot there. Salt Pepper winning that round of dodgeball. The Onager is getting close, and he might convert the Onager. I don't think Survivalist has noticed it, and he's not going to hit the monk with the Onager, and he gets the conversion and immediately switches around to fire, but the Halberdiers might get rid of the Onager, not without getting a half decent hit, but again, that was massive to deny and take that Onager. Survivalist is actually pushing a little bit now with the Onagers and the siege, but with 200 pop nearly there for Salted Pepper and plenty of castles to defend his eco. You probably want to wait to build up a bit of a reserves of food, because of course you will need to rebuild those villages, retrain those villages after they become Flemish militia. And the BBC is again on point, should be able to take an onager or two, but they back off for now. Oof. I don't know how that monk didn't die. Unusual. I wonder whether that onager is going to get converted, and it does, and immediately he fires to take out an onager. BBC's again going to look to take out the trap first, and it's going to have to be a bit careful not to lose these BBCs. Almost loses one to the onager. The onager snipes the BBC snipes the onager. Salted Pepper being very patient here. And it looks like Survivalist is sticking along the Halberdier Bombard Cannon onager route. And we see Salted Pepper upcapped, and we see squires, we see chainmail armor. I think we're going to see the Flemish Revolution. He's building up to it, he's getting the armor upgrades in preparation, I think. A lot of siege here for Salted Pepper, so this is certainly a decent time to do it. He's got 800 food in the bank, so he can certainly replenish those villages pretty quickly. And I wonder what the answer to the Flemish Revolution will be here for Survivalist. Just in terms of map control, Salted Pepper has just had these extra resources for such a long time. And again, as the game goes longer and longer, those 5 relics will really start to come into play. There are gold piles here that are not being taken. But I suspect he's got... I don't want to look away from this fight right here, but I suspect Salted Pepper perhaps has some back at home gold piles. And he takes out 3 BBCs there, that's massive. Salted Pepper's been incredible with the micro, it's really been able to do some massive damage to Survivalist's siege. Again, the push is a bit slow. 1600 food for Salted Pepper. Not having the 3rd armor upgrade just yet. And no forging either, so he's not committing to Flemish Revolution just yet. Can't really at this stage. He needs to protect the siege though. He might lose quite a lot of trebs here. These trebs are really unguarded. He doesn't have the military numbers. 30 to 46. This is actually a comeback from Survivalist. Survivalist has been hugely patient, and now is his time to push. Salted Pepper's going to lose 4 trebs here relatively quickly, and this is huge. This is a massive pushback for Survivalist. I think Salted Pepper might need to press the red button right now with the Flemish Revolution to push this back before it becomes an issue. It does snipe a BBC. I have to say, on the dodgeball side of things, Salted Pepper being very good. And a defensive castle just to stem the flow a little bit. All sorts of pepper, but it's only building it with 2 villagers. Going to need to get a couple more villagers on that. And the 3rd armor upgrade coming in. And the attack upgrades coming in as well, which is no surprise. Wants to get the most value from the Flemish Revolution, as you'd expect. I wonder if he's continuing to produce villagers, because he does have a bit of pop space left. So he will need to be careful not to lose his castle. There's only 2 villagers producing it. The onagers are going to start taking out the production buildings. And he does put a gate, but there's still a hole there, I think. And it does house wall it, almost, yeah, just. But the onagers, if they can get close and he notices that, which Survivalists will be able to see that, he might be able to take out the villagers. There are 3 villagers building that castle. If you can get rid of the villagers, that could be painful for Salted Pepper right here. Is he going to press the red button? Not getting the attack upgrade, a bit surprising. He's switching to Hussar. Salted Pepper, which is it's a bit of an odd one, it seems, because it does sort of Survivalist as halbs for days. There's of course the natural counter. But I think Salted Pepper on the right now has got a castle with lots of stables. He's want to perhaps get in the right side and maybe raid. I think that might be the play that is opting for, but this push will be stopped. The castle, I think Salted Pepper had to delete that. He wouldn't have been able to destroy that quick, I wouldn't have thought, but he had to delete that perhaps. Salted Pepper has enough for another castle, or at least to repair this one. He will want to repair it. He's getting a trebuchet, but that trebuchet might not come out of that castle. Okay, we'll get 1 trebuchet out. The BBC's onager and pikeman, or a halberdier, coming forward for Survivalist. Getting the 2nd attack upgrade. It's been a bit slow to get these upgrades, that's to be said. Obviously he's got a lot going on at this stage, but the halberdier are right on point to take care of these hussar, and these hussar will get shredded. But with 5 relics for Salted Pepper, I don't think it's going to be giving this up at any point anytime soon. And with Flemish Revolution still in his armory to use, we might see that. A lot of halbs. 60 military to 35. Salted Pepper is population top capped. Getting the 2nd armor attack upgrade. I think you might need to press that red button on the Flemish Revolution. But he's being patient with it. He's not going for it just yet. And we see capped ram upgrade coming in for Survivalist to push on the siege side of things. And Survivalist did lose a lot of halberdier there to the castles, but it doesn't seem like it's something he's too worried about. He's got plenty of res in terms of food and wood. He's got 89 woodcutters here. That's a lot of woodcutters. Having a look at the bases, you can see you may need to refresh some of these lumber camps. Of course, both players heavy on eco. And the gold piles there are pretty strong for Salted Pepper. Don't forget, it's got 5 relics. That certainly will come into play, and looks like Salted Pepper's going to try and sneakily snipe some of the onagers, but doesn't get away with it. Doesn't manage to do it. And there comes Blast Furnace. I mean, it is quite expensive to get the Flemish Revolution. Doesn't actually have the res for it just yet. They might have to bide his time just a little bit longer before he can afford it. Also, he needs to make sure, yeah, Joey does need to make sure he keeps his castle. He does have quite a few of them, so he shouldn't lose them, hopefully. Needs at least one. It's very quick to research, so just need to make sure he keeps this one alive. But his population, he's not actually up capped. He's still got 15 population space still, so we'll see if he goes for another extra 15 vils. He can't actually. He needs to be able to spend the food for the Flemish Revolution. He's going to sell the wood for gold. Survivalist has got wood for days. Incredible. It's only now that Salted Pepper is getting the third wood upgrade, which Survivalist has actually had for a while now, I think. So it does mean that even though the Burgundians get that an age earlier, doesn't necessarily mean you have to use it, and Salted Pepper certainly didn't in this occasion. Joey, he certainly remembered squires. I didn't quite see whether he got arson, but he definitely had squires researched earlier on. So will we see that red button pressed? Because he's running low on military, only 17 military. I think he's been thinking about, there we are. We see it, 10 seconds, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And there we go. We're going to be seeing the Flemish Revolution, and we're going to see a massive flux. 185 military, 241. This is going to be intense. This is going to be a very strong push, and it needs to be for Salted Pepper. He needs to push this back. And I think Survivalist needs to get a counter and just perhaps turtle in just for a little bit to whittle down the numbers of these Flemish militia. Because this is the point where this could be a problem. But the problem for Salted, he doesn't actually have any food for the reboom. This is a huge issue. He's got so many TCs but no food. He's going to need to buy it. It does have the relics, which will certainly help. The onagers need to do some work here against the Flemish militia. I was getting arson now as well. And this is going to be a massive push. There's something that Survivalist needs to hold off on. And some good onager shots will certainly help. We've seen a lot of loss of numbers though for Salted Pepper. Only 155 of those Flemish militia left. Only 12 villages, and there's not enough eco behind this. I fear for Salted Pepper. This is very much all in actually. He won't have much of an eco behind this because it just doesn't have the food for the replenishment of villages. Only 18 villages at the moment. But it does have a lot of BBCs, so this is good play that... Okay, this is looking really strong. This is actually looking incredibly strong. The Survivalist has 16 military only on the field. And the big issue here is the siege. The number of BBCs that Salted Pepper has is insane. That's certainly going to help the matters and break in. Needs to take out key things though. Needs to get rid of the onagers. If Salted can get rid of the onagers, it does look he might be heading for the W here. And that castle will go down when there's this many bombard cannons. It's the most expensive unit in the game. And it does lose a couple of bombard cannons to the castle, but the castles go down. This is insane. 119 military to 9. I don't think Survivalist has enough here. He might have to call the GG, especially with the 5 relics. And the eco starting to pick up again. 29 villages for Salted Pepper. Survivalist does get a castle on that left side, but I'm not sure if he's going to be able to defend it. A couple of halberdiers are going to be a pain for these bombard cannons though, I have to say. And the Flemish militia are right in the heart of the eco for Survivalist. And I think this is probably going to be heading towards the GG. And there we are. There we have it. Salted Pepper gets the first game of the set with the Burgundians and the Flemish Revolution on Arena. What an intense game.